Welcome to Mediocre Gaming, and today we're playing Metal Eden. But before we get to that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and ring that bell to be notified of all future episodes as soon as they go live. So let's get into it. So Metal Eden is not officially out yet, but the demo is available for people to try. And I saw the trailer for this game, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty interesting. Let's give it a go and see what it's all about. So here we are in a cutscene for Metal Eden, and then we'll get into the action. I have to say that the trailer and some of the cutscenes kind of remind me of, well, they've got a lot kind of similarities to some little bits of other games, I think. To me, it's a little bit of like if Stellar Blade was a first-person shooter, or a little bit of Destiny, a little bit of Cyberpunk, some Mirror's Edge. So what it's all about is that you have to fight these guys and get to the target, wherever that happens to be, at the end of this construction or cityscape, city-like scape. And they more or less ease you into it. One of the things I didn't really like was that there wasn't a way to change the control scheme. I'm sure that will be a day one patch, but I'm not entirely sure why it wasn't in the demo as well. It would have made a lot of sense. And as a result, anyway, there were some choices that were made for buttons corresponding to certain actions that didn't necessarily correspond to what I thought it should be. But that's just the way I was. If I could have customized it, I would have changed the control scheme right out of the gate. So you start off with a melee, which really doesn't do any damage per se, but it does stun the enemies for a couple seconds. You've got your default weapon, which the Hertz doesn't use ammo, but is a heat-based gun. You can see the heat build up, and then you have to wait for it to cool down before you can use it again. You do have a jetpack with a very limited amount of fuel, which you see there just to the left of center. And you can bring up, what direction you're supposed to go. If you ever get turned around, or you're like, okay, where am I supposed to go from here? There we go. And once you get to a certain point, then all of a sudden you will have more options, as kind of makes sense in a tutorial. But then you have to start worrying about ammo once you get a different gun, etc. So as we're going along, we can kind of see different things, and they bring all this stuff up a little bit, which is good tutorial wise, so you can kind of figure out what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, although they tell you more along the lines of push this, hold this, do that and that. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You're kind of running through and you're trying to do something, and they tell you go ahead, and your power core was damaged, so you have to go to another hyper runner, which is what you are, and try and get a core from them because your core was damaged doing something. You've got armor and you've got health. They take damage off the armor first before it goes off of your health. There'll be pickups along the way, both that are native to the location and as enemy drops. Additionally, enemies also drop currency called dust, which you'll be able to use a little bit further on, and it is part of the demo. You got this like giant catfish robot swimming through the sky, calling in reinforcements. Overall, I have to say that the in terms of storyline, it's a little confusing. From the demo, which is neither here nor there, you can kind of take it with a grain of salt. Like, it's not supremely important from a demo perspective, but if it's the same thing in the full game, obviously there's going to be an issue. So there's a few different types of enemies. You can do different things to the enemies. You can pull the core out. Use it as a grenade, or use it to enhance your own melee. This area here is an arena. It's got a little bit of vertical, and then of course horizontal. So you've got a little bit of area where you can more or less stay safe, at least for a short term, around corners or underneath or on top, behind things, etc., from long ranged enemies. And then of course your fast moving attackers are going to come up to you. These guys have both. You have to melee them or use a super melee by grabbing a core from one of the enemies and then knock off any of these guys that have the green around them. They've got armor, and you have to reduce the armor, but just shooting it doesn't do a lot of damage to the armor. So you have to melee them to stun them, and then of course then shoot them, and that'll take more of the armor off. Or use your ability to grab a core off of an enemy and then absorb it, like I did here. And then of course there's a cooldown to use the ability again. So go up, melee him, stun him, try and do as much damage as possible to take that armor out. So while playing the game, I felt like the game itself was missing a little je ne sais quoi, a little maybe a refinement, or something was kind of missing from the game. If you try the game, tell me what you think. It feels like, to me anyway, that it is just a little bit off. Like, it could be good, and maybe it will be once the day one patch comes along, or this is exactly what it's going to be. I can only say what I was able to play, not what I would like to see. There were a couple times where frames were dropping, so I mean that's never a good thing. There we go, super punch. And you just keep hitting them until they go down. But it seems like you get into these arenas and you basically run until your ability comes up, and then throw it like a grenade or absorb it so you can do a super melee to the boss or mini boss or whoever is causing you the most trouble. And then some of these guys, they after you take them out, they'll blow up, so you have to not be next to them. And although the arena changes, it is more or less the same where you've got a wall run, you've got different vertical spaces that you can move around. There's pickups, so you don't run out completely out of auxiliary ammo for your guns that you've picked up in the meantime, plus an armor drop, and then the guys will occasionally drop either ammo or health or armor. So it kind of feels like you're running around for your cooldown, and then armored enemies or bosses, you're gonna grab a core from one of the cannon fodder so you can punch them and then move along. So in terms of variety of gameplay, it doesn't seem like there's a lot. You can only expect a certain amount in a demo. Like, there's a decent number of different enemies that you'll encounter in the demo. But, you know, you've got the melee guys that will run up to you and try to take you out. You've got the ranged guys, which won't come up to you. They'll try and take you out at range. And then you got the hybrid guy that has both armor and melee and range. And we almost took the armor out. And all the while we're getting shot in the back by this ranged guy. And just run around and hope for the best until your cooldown is finished. And then you've got the regular guys will keep on coming back until you take out the big guy or whoever you're supposed to be taking out. So they keep giving you cannon fodder to deal with guys that are more troublesome, which might cause more problems for you. There we go. Boom. So the super melee does a little bit of damage. So there we go. Took that guy out. And now we come over here. And then we find out that you can upgrade your core abilities. So things like pickup range and core ripping and core power, stuff like that. Each one requires a certain number of upgrade points, and of course the first one, or the base ones, are 1 core. In addition, you also have these little shops to upgrade your weapons that you found so far along the way. So this far we've had the Hertz and the Supra, and there's 3 upgrades for the Hertz, and then of course 6 for the Supra. The Hertz you'll always be able to use, but it is not as good as the other weapons that you're going to find. And then, of course, they all cost dust for the upgrades. So a bit of an interesting arc. So you do have some upgrades, so it's not like you're going through the whole game just with more difficult enemies and finding, you know, a gun or 2 along the way. Additionally, there's supposed to be areas or sections that you can ball up. You turn into a ball and you roll around. Like a game of monkey ball or something. I don't know.
The engineers are out there.
Something to change it up. That's the only thing I can really think about that they're trying to do. And the whole thing, or each level, I should say, you're supposed to be doing it more or less on a timer. So you only have a certain amount of time in order to get to, and you probably saw the little, I don't know if it's a glitch or if it's intended. You got the core rip and then all of a sudden it disappeared.
surface elevator has a limited.
random spout of blood coming out of the ground.
Entering action zone.
All right, at one point I picked up this weapon, which doesn't overheat, doesn't run out of ammo, but you only get for a certain amount of time. You can see right in the middle lower section how much time is left on the weapon before it disappears. It's basically like a light machine gun. Try and rip through all the enemies quickly before you run out of power, battery, ammo, whatever the case may be, energy. There is a countdown, as you saw, for it to come back, so if you do need it, you can get it back. Alright. Got it back. And I think there's only that one guy left. So there we go. I think that's it. So get the ranged guy and then you don't have to worry about it. There we go. Reach the surface elevator. Seems to be the big... There we go. Use the light machine gun on the guy. It makes quick work of him versus your regular guns, which don't seem to do much of anything. There we go. Some armor pickups. Not very much, but hey, a little bit counts. Something else here to diversify the gameplay are these
Perseverance of the city
tracks,
system is startling.
airlift that you can travel on.
Its demise is inevitable. Whatever they
And as we go along, you've got some
Does CDC have hyper?
dialogue going on.
No, that was
And that's all it is in the beginning. Once you get further along, then all of a sudden you start having enemies show up. So we got to the surface elevator, but you have to get to these bubbles. Charge it up. You can see on the floor there, plus the in the middle where the elevator is at, goes up to a certain percentage, and then it moves. And then you need to go to the new place and do the same thing. And just rinse and repeat, take out guys, and stay alive. If you're only using the Hertz weapon, it's going to be difficult because it's going to overheat a lot because you're going to have enough enemies that is going to cause a problem. There we go, we're up to 75%. It's too bad you can't vent the gun to make it cool down faster, but that might make it a little bit too powerful. There we go. Now we're up to 100%. Pick up the overdrive. Doesn't really, so it doesn't really say what the overdrive does. Defeat all remaining. And we got 20 seconds left. So if they had maybe given a little message tutorial, something to let me know what the overdrive is supposed to do or what it does, might have helped out. As it is, I've got these guys that are trying to take me out, and they're all, as you saw before, little mini bosses from a previous battle. So no, not that much differentiation with the or variety of enemies. And it's same as before. You've got a little bit of vertical space within a small arena, and then you're running around trying to get to either ammo pickups or armor pickups or health pickups or whatever is lying around. Wait for your abilities to go down on cooldown. These guys, there's no... there we go. Once they lose their... Yeah, right now, only have the core rip. I don't know if they're going to have other abilities. So you get a little bit of extra mobility, parkour abilities with grapple and things like that, just like the jetpack. But at this point, anyway, it feels a little underwhelming. Like I said, a little underwhelming, a little unrefined compared to some of the energy that it is trying to vibe with. So let me know if you've pre-ordered it, if you're planning on getting it, if you've played the demo, and what you think about it in the comments below. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to check us out on social media, and thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you next time.
Enemy forces neutralized.
It's a great struggle we need to partake in together. But still, step by step, we are getting closer. A new, brighter future is coming. We are standing on the edge looking towards the unknown. And the wind is rising.